It was about maybe somewhere around 4 to 5 months ago. I was tasked with delivering, or rather, a partial, little package, gift box thing, whatever, was left at my house for a colleague to see if this thing is all started turn down. Yeah, it does. I heard myself for a second. I was getting a little worried there. It's like, hey, the computer's playing me by itself. But I had a person who came over here to pick up something, and they were, this is kind of a thing where no date was set, but basically they would send me a message, and then I would try to be around for them to show up and pick up the thing that they were given by someone else. Full disclosure, this is a person I do not speak with at all throughout the entire year, other than when they encounter me in person, which again is very rare. And in the last four instances, has only been because someone's left something here for me to pick to give to them when they were available or want to show up finally. But they sent me a text message, and I thought, oh, they're going to come over here. They chose not to, and the next day they did, and this ended up actually interfering, let me say, with Envoy, with a plan I had on just of going somewhere with this person. Both of us had to curtail our schedules to fit this individual's time of choosing to show up. So when they showed up after leading us to believe that they would the day before, I was annoyed because they messed with my schedule. So I said, hey, here's your thing, whatever. They go back and they tell someone, they go, oh, he said this, blah 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 blah. And while I said, here's your stuff, you can go, they tried to ask me about my birthday, which just recently occurred. Let me see. I'm not too sure what the subject is. We're getting there. We're getting there. Don't worry, Envoy. I'm still. What's likely to happen is by the time we actually get to the meat of what I'm trying to say, we'll have the other people show up, or they'll either check it out in the replay, and then the full thing will be able to play through, and you'll get it. But anyways, this individual complains. They're talking to this person about how rude I was, and my response at the time was, it was pretty rude for them to not show up when they knew that I and the other person had stuff we were trying to do. And that was my retort, that they wouldn't have had the same. I was just returning the favor of the rudeness that they claimed I demonstrated when they finally decided to show up. So they came over here a second time, maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And I did not apologize. I did not say I'm sorry. I didn't say, oh, I feel so bad because I told you to go when you came to pick up a box. But they tried to make it seem as if they were treated so poorly, and woe is me and all that. And at the end of this interaction, they said something to the effect of, because my argument to them was, hey, if you actually cared about what happened on my birthday, you could have called me. You have a phone with you at all times. We can tell by how many pictures you post on stupid websites like Instagram. We know that you can always contact me whenever you want, since you have my number and you have your phone with you at all times, unless you were, you suddenly joined the military and you were on tour in Iraq or Afghanistan, or, maybe your phone exploded. Some nonsensical thing that we know didn't happen is the only reason you couldn't have not contacted me. And I leave that in there because it was so funny to watch them sit there and try to pretend as if what had happened was some kind of strange way that they've never seen before. An individual who you pissed off, basically saying, hey, hit the bricks when you finally decided to show up. But I was thinking a lot about when I used to be on this one forum, and I had these people who said some nasty stuff about me, just kind of little mean crap here and there. And a lot of times I put all that stuff together because I always try to make the point when my like daily life, and I've tried to say before, usually when I'm in some public venue, I try to get out of there very quickly, get my stuff and go. And I've had individuals, try to say, oh, well, you shouldn't not speak to this person. Like, no. I had no problem with speaking to them that exact manner, the way I did, right? Of, you can get your stuff and get out of here, because first of all, they ruined what I was trying to do the day before. And I value my time. I happen to think that it's very precious and something that is serious. And apparently the three people in here do too, because one of them keeps popping up. He's trying to check to see whatever he's doing. And I had another, I also said that if they had showed up the day that I thought they would, likely they wouldn't have had that same, pushback. And that birthday comment pissed me off because again, it's one of those things where people try to put on these masks and these faces and pretend like they're someone that they're not. That person didn't care, past anything about what I did that day or what happened or anything that occurs with me. You know why I know that? Because they could have called me and asked about this at any time and chose not to. And it wasn't because they were overseas and away from their phone as they served the US military with honors, or their cell phone did a doomsday sequence and exploded before they could contact me. It was because they didn't care. They chose not to, and they were only saying that to make conversation while I acted as the middleman between the person that gave them the gift and them in receiving it. That's all it was. But see, I don't get why people can't just honestly come out and say, look, I don't care about this person. I don't contact them at all throughout the entire year. And the only reason I come to see you is when I'm trying to pick up a box that a person who cares a little bit more about me than you decides to give. Like I don't get why it's so hard for. I know we talk about the romance stuff, but I really just want to kind of say with myself, I've had to push back against a lot of claims of me being selfish and whatnot. And I say, look, I don't pretend as if I am someone who is so nice and wonderful and likes to help people out because unless it's something that is related to a person I've known for years and have some kind of actual attachment to, which is very few people, I don't. But unlike a lot of these other people, I'm not going to pretend and smile in your face and act as if I didn't not contact you throughout the entire year. And Envoy says using people these days is nothing new. I feel like at times human emotion is just replaced. Well, that's my point. It's a new wave of it's a selfishness that tries to pretend it's not. See, she brings up the birthday thing to try to make it seem like you're not just the guinea pig that's giving me the pinata that I want. And that's kind of my point, that I don't do that. I don't contact people that I haven't spoken to all year out of nowhere and say, hey, I wanted to hear about you and I care so much about you. I don't do any of that. I don't do it online. I don't do it in person. I've told people online, I don't care if I've spoken to you for 2 years. You can stop speaking to me tomorrow and there'd be no difference, no tangible change. And again, I'm not saying that to belittle them as human beings, but to also say that, look, I don't matter to you either. This is why I've had several, just to go to romance stuff a little bit, I've had several females I've spoken to for months and they stopped talking to me one day. And guess what happened? I went right back to doing what I always do. Anything else didn't change whatsoever. Yeah, I agree with that, O'Donohue. Everyone is selfish. But again, a lot of people have a hard time admitting that, and they try to pretend as if they themselves are these, again, darling little angels who don't mess up or do anything wrong. This was the exact same thing with this individual I was talking to recently, where, they got so upset because I said that they didn't care about me. I said, look, you could have contacted me this week, the week before that, and you chose not to. And it wasn't because your phone was not available or you weren't around a computer and couldn't have sent me an email or anything of that nature. You just didn't want to. But I don't get why it's so hard to come out and say, hey, look, I don't care about you. I only talk to you because I'm bored, whatever. Too hard for them to do, apparently. Huh. Envoy says, well, if you show you care and beg people for their validation, they can easily use it against you. Exactly. O'Donohue says, I've been getting a lot of subscribers lately. It's because you're part of the Vic's legal team. You guys are gonna sue Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi and Ron Toy and Funimation and the world. So that's the real reason. I still can't believe her what is it? Fiance is getting sued, but again, he dragged himself into that. So it's funny to see him just get completely demolished over, him going online and talking smack about this guy that he doesn't even know. But going back to what I was saying, so I told you before, I tried to make the chat something where people actually can say or make a comment, and usually I respond because I do like the attempt of having some back and forth interaction and making it a little bit of a thing of people just speaking to each other like human beings. Which, I mean, if you go on some of these sites, by the way, it's really ironic to go from being accused of being antisocial and then trying to like go online and be social and having people just like bite you back. Why do you want to speak to me in a on Skype or some other website where you can hear my voice? Why would you want to do that? Just it's really ironic, basically. Just to now be the person who is seemingly outgoing compared to the rest who just want to sit up and curl up in their little balls or whatever. Let's see. O'Donohue says, "I wish." What is this? Okay, I don't know who that is. So you're talking about someone that no one knows their identities. Maybe that's a little in joke. You come in here to write that, and then I'm going to respond to it. What collaboration would we do? How you gonna crash my stream and ask me this non-stream related question? Let me get back to my topic. But like I was saying, so I go on these different websites, and I've occasionally seen myself mentioned in a couple of forums. People doing a little wonderful character analysis, and most often or not, it's about the relationship stuff. And usually, what I try to say is, I don't respond to these comments because these people mean nothing to me. And I'm not saying that to dehumanize these individuals, because let's call it what it is. If I went on those forums tomorrow and I said, "Please take your form down where you said mean things about me, it really made me feel bad," do you think a single one of them would listen to what I had to say? None, not at all. If I decided, because I've sometimes disabled comments, but let's pretend I just let everywhere have all the comments in the world, right? If I went on my comments and I go, "Can you please stop making these mean comments and say something nice about me? Please, can you get rid of your own comment?" Do you think they would listen? No. And you know why? Because they don't care about how you feel. They don't care about what position you have about what they said. They feel they can write this stuff and get somebody to thumbs it up a few times, and they're gonna do it. And I've tried to explain that I fully understand why they're of that position. I get it, but here it goes both ways. You can't be surprised when I then choose not to read what you write or decide to just say, "All right, screw it all together." I mean, especially when you're someone like myself who is a esteemed veteran of the internet, you know that anything you do is just subject to get critiqued or rebuked. I had a person who came on here one time, or not one time, he came on here 2 years ago and then came in my chat about maybe 2 weeks ago, after some long hiatus. I guess he got bored for a year, and started talking about my clothes. And it was so weird because I was like, what straight man is going to sit here and go and start slobbering at the mouth and go, his clothes. I just couldn't believe it. But again, this is what they do. And he has the right to say that stuff, and I have the right to, yank it off of here. But whether he writes it here or somewhere else, it's not going to change anything. I'm always laughing at something. I don't know. Maybe he's watching SNL. They're playing an early. They're playing earlier today. They're premiering it. O'Donohue says, "My parents don't like me because I don't like to work out." Obviously, I didn't know that guy used to watch you a year ago. Yeah, that's why I immediately recognized that username. I knew who that was. It just was really weird that they disappeared for all of last year and then decided to make a reappearance. I thought they decided long ago, hey, you're not gonna bother with me, so let me just go out of here. But apparently not. I festered. They're feeling nostalgic. They're like, hey, let me see if I can mess with them this time. It didn't work out too well for them. But again, if you go on any of these websites, you're gonna see people who've written nasty stuff to me on Twitter. You're gonna see people who've written nasty stuff to me on Instagram, because I post some stuff on there. I use some hashtags. People write some kind of crap. And I just accept, hey, that's what they're gonna write, and they're writing it, and it can be as nasty as possible because they can. But do you think when they write that stuff, they're taking into account how I feel? No, they don't care. So it should go both ways. If you don't care about how I feel to where you censor your own comments or try to not be mean and evil, why the hell should I care about what that person says back or in response to what I put out there? That's a serious inquiry. What possible justification would I have to go, "Oh man, I really value what this person is saying about me"? And on my channel, I mean, I got all kind of weird stuff written about me, except that this is the issue with the internet. Well, that's kind of my point, that you shouldn't get on here if like, I mean, I can go down the list. I had a person who took a profile I had for about 3 months and put as part of some horror. They call it like the horrid compilation or whatever. I had some, again, different forum users say some stuff. Again, I'm not gonna curl up in a ball and commit suicide because someone called me a name. So it's just it is what it is. But I'm saying to you that all of these people write this stuff because they're trying to get some attention for their commentary and are using you for that purpose. And it was the same thing with this real life example I gave here, that this individual, I'm not going to reveal it, you probably can guess, but this individual who didn't pick this stuff up for a day and wasted my time had no problem doing that and felt no kind of empathy or sympathy for the fact that we waited here for them to pick their stuff up and they didn't come to get it. So that's why when they came over here and they were doing their, I didn't feel any kind of sympathy back. I returned the favor. You don't apologize for wasting my time. I'm not going to apologize for telling you to get your thing and get out of here. And sure enough, after they left, they started a whole new controversy about something else that was dumb. O'Donohue says people, okay, yeah, I already read that. Again, one of the things when you put the camera that far back, I still have to kind of push up and look. But this is my point, that when you go on here and I start reading all these comments about how could you be so inconsiderate? Because see, I think that even if I do talk about the chick stuff, right? I feel I'm very considerate. I don't put their names on here. I don't put their pictures on here, which I theoretically could do if I went on some other website. But you get my point, that I don't believe, and even when I've done this with voice actors, right? Names off, pick whatever thing that would reveal who they are is off. And that's not done because, oh my God, I'm so scared they're going to sue me for talking about it. No, it's because I don't believe I should be the individual who basically exposes you to the world and how evil, or whatever way I think you are. If you're as bad as I say you are, you're going to do this to other people, and then they'll catch on to your scheme on their own, is what I'm saying. But again, that's a liberty that I, as a content creator, have not had the luxury of having. I've had people who sell kind of nasty stuff. I mean, they've had no problem posting it on a video on some other website. It is what it is. But this is kind of my point, that the reason their advice does not resonate with me is because it's all talk. Like, when you actually go out and make stuff, you're doing it after experiencing something. So if I sit down and I say, oh, this chick stuff isn't going to change, it's because I have, for example, spoken to roughly 60 or 70 different women. And that's not because I have some, like, warped mind that says they're all the same, as I've often been accused of thinking, because apparently people are now, like, we have all these telepaths. They can tell me what I think before I even say it, or actually express it. It's because if you have a repeated pattern of behavior, you develop a foresight, and that foresight tells you, hey, this isn't going to change, not because every single person is the same, but because the ones that are different are too far, few and in between, and you're just not going to get it. And you can try to convince yourself, oh man, I don't know what I'm talking about. But then you remember, hey, wait a second, I spoke to how many of them, and this thing stayed the same. So these are the kind of things where if I see a comment online that tries to refute that or argue against me, I'm not going to buy it. Again, the Benjamin Franklin quote: "Believe none of what you hear, and only half of what you see." Don't let anybody on this computer tell you something about how the world works, and then you get a different experience in real life, and then go, well, the person who wrote something online must know a lot more than what's actually going on. Don't buy it. Yeah, and then this is the same thing with the voice actor situation, which I guess VVS can't relate to. Basically, I had a project I wanted to do, and there's this website where they have over 20,000 different voice actors, and I would post this little, and we talked about this yesterday in the stream. At that point, these little like audition sessions, right? And after a while, people stopped responding, and it was really weird because these are people who say we want to be voice actors. So then I took this person came on one of them and said, I have an idea. Why don't you go in their inbox and say, hey, you want to be part of my thing? I swear to you, the moment I read that comment, I instantly knew in the back of my head, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to go in these people's inboxes. They're either going to say no or they're going to like lead me on to something. And most of them will say no because it was not something they sought out. And this is why I say that so much of this stuff is connected, but people don't want to pay attention to it. Just like how we say a woman will go after someone that she really likes or she's interested in, whatever. The same thing with voice actors. They'll only do work that they're actually interested in doing. They'll only apply the stuff that they seriously want to get involved with. So when I go on here and I have, now over a dozen different instances of me talking to these people and getting the same result, who can I blame but myself for being stupid enough to think that these people who, I'm just going to come out and say it, don't really do much of anything? Because I told you before, I draw this stuff out, I write it, I edit it. I literally do all of it other than, being however many views it gets, people are, they determine that. And other voice actors voice it. But you get my point that you don't get how aggravating it is to be the person who wears all these hats, and then have someone who does a really small, teeny tiny part of it be the reason it just never comes out. And see all these people who could do it at any point and choose not to. But see, this goes back to what I was saying about being selfish. I don't put out any of the stuff talking about these different groups or people because I think, oh, someone's going to see that and magically be no. That's all done to say this person or these groups of people are stupid. They wasted my time. Let me talk about how dumb they are because I'm a sore loser. I'm not going to sit there and get some message saying, oh, thanks for answering my questions for 4 days, but I'm not going to do this. And I know I wasted your time, but good luck. And then not want to talk about it on here. I mean, that's one of the biggest misconceptions that, we actually get people who think, oh yeah, he's trying to do something. Like, no. All I'm doing is saying this is stupid. That's the only purpose of doing that. That goofy chuckle you do is hilarious. Oh, you mean the one where they're like this, where it's like, hey, thanks for wasting 4 days of my time of our time talking. Thank you for letting me waste 4 days of your time asking a bunch of stupid questions, even though I was never going to do anything you said I would do. That's how I read those. That's literally the tone I read all these messages in, because it's all just stupid stuff that people send to me. And my voice says no. Which voice are you talking about? Oh, the other one. Oh, okay. Now I know. Hey VVS, I'm gonna pretend to be a chick. I know we've been talking for 3 months, and I was laughing. We were on the phone, and I was talking about how interested I was, but today I woke up and suddenly realized I wasn't. Best of luck, and I'm sure you're gonna find somebody eventually that isn't stupid like me and decides to change their mind after saying a week before that I liked you. What, that one? I think VVS probably left. He's over there signing autographs again. He went for another another tour. And then Sky's in the building. He's decided to show up after his long-awaited hiatus. I mean, it really is incredible, just like thinking about how much stuff people write about someone they've never met before. Like I sometimes go back to the because like I said, I used to have my Gmail set up to where every time somebody would comment, I'd get the response either on my phone or in the Gmail. And I got rid of that because when that video thing was going to just too many people. But it was really funny to watch a lot of those comments and kind of see the these analysis. How tall are you? Like suddenly, if you just reach this magical height, people are gonna, like everything's gonna change basically. And I think I mentioned this before. Let me see this. The biggest. Okay, I don't know what that means, but like I said, I had to keep writing. I'm 6'2" over so many times that I felt like my hands were gonna fall off because people just kept asking that, like anything they could find to explain away the problem, and make it seem like it's all directed toward who the male is versus this systemic issue. They'll do it, and they'll try to get it going. This is another person who disappeared for a very, 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 very long time. Sky says, in relation to you, I am selfish. You have to be in today's society, especially if you're too nice like myself. People will take advantage of it. That's my point. That like with the people who write these comments, and I was like, look, you can write that stuff all you want. It's going to get rid of. It's going to be removed if it's posted here. Like, go make your own channel. Like, that's my point. That you don't care how I feel, right? And that's why you write this nasty stuff. So then I don't care what you write, other than just see it, read a little piece of it, throw it away. That's the same thing with the political stuff. I've had so many Trump supporters come on my stuff and write something stupid and then have their stuff yanked off within seconds or minutes. And I told you, the way it works is I critique either him or somebody else over a particular topic, right? Like when I did the video about him saying, "Oh, we're going to pull out of Syria," and then he changes his mind a couple months later, and that pisses me off because I'm a person who doesn't want to be involved in all these foreign wars. And one of his supporters comes on there and they admit, yeah, he flipped. But what about the economy? It's like, no. That has nothing to do with what is being talked about here. So, you can throw that away. I think you get my point that you literally have people who just like they can't stick to the topic. That's why whenever I would discuss, for example, the chick stuff, the topic, the comment section should be composed of people who say, I agree with this because I've had this happen to me. I disagree with this because I've had this happen to me. See, those are the kind of comments that I can respect because they actually address what's said in the video. When I start seeing some comment about, you're gonna shoot somewhere up because you like, again, that nothing to do with what I said, all in your own weird mind, and that's why your stuff gets yanked. So it's a very simple fix to a problem that you've created and let fester and be made. See, I can understand opposite opinion and a disagreement. Oh, I'm selfish too. That's why a lot of people don't like me. Oh, there's someone else I haven't seen in forever. I got so worried. We got to put up some missing persons posters for her. No, but when this person came over my house, they were shocked. They couldn't believe they were treated so terribly. That I just said, get out of here. It's like, yeah, we don't care how you feel. You don't show up at it. You know how crazy this is. I don't show up at any point during the whole year at all at your home. But then when somebody gives me a gift, I have to. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna say, "Hey, how you doing? How have you been? Are you okay? You all right?" And then not be expected to be seen as someone that doesn't actually care about you and is just trying to make conversation to make it a little less awkward when they pick up their gift. I'm telling you, I have no person that I don't interact with all year long that I actually try to see or call or speak to, every so couple of days, that I'll just show up at the house of when there's some festivity or whatever and not feel terrible going over. Like I've said before, I've had this one person say, why don't you like going to this person's house? I said, look, I don't go to their house all year long. I don't call them. There's no reason for me to be there. But that's a simple, I would think a very simple gesture. Just if you don't pay me any attention all year long, if I don't pay you any attention all year long, we don't need to speak at all. Simple as that. I would think. But no, they like that stuff. Oh, well, gotta be nice and you try to be decent. Like, no, you're doing that because you want to grandstand to make yourself feel better because you're also of the same position that, yeah, I don't talk to this person at all. But then somehow in your head you think if I just show up this one day out of the whole year, I'm gonna like go to heaven or so. No. But again, that's why this channel gets flack because we don't try to pretend as if we're positive about stuff that we shouldn't be positive about. I'm sorry, you shouldn't talk to a dozen voice actors and get the exact same response from all of them, except sometimes longer, sometimes shorter of no, and then think somebody's going to come around and say, "Oh yeah, I'll do this." I'm telling you, out of the last maybe 15 voice actors I've spoken to about that project, only one of them has said yes. And that wasn't even for that role that I was trying to get the other ones to do. That's ridiculous. But it's the same thing with the chick stuff. If you talk to 60 or 70 of those pricks, and you get the. I mean, like, do I have to put that video in here? The one of the proof romance is a scam. I didn't make that because I thought, oh, let me show you all these expose messages. I did that because I wanted to show how you can have these little topsy-turvy, twisty things going on where sometimes they'll talk to you for a couple of days, sometimes they'll talk to you for a couple of weeks. Hell, sometimes they'll even say they like you back, and then you still get the same result. And I swear, when I go on here and I see the reception, it's like living in the Twilight Zone, because I mentioned in particular an individual who, after basically rejecting my advances, still wanted to talk. And then I'm like, hey, this was stupid because, this isn't what I wanted. So of course you're gonna get, thrown outside of in the gutter. And this person sees that and is like, oh well, you made her stop wanting to talk to you because you showed too much. You're like, idiot prick! Did you not just see what was on the screen? Like, does your ear like work like where half of it listens to it, like swells up a little bit, then just shuts closed? Like, oh my god, it was insane. Like, it was like, no, there's no way you watch that video and you're that stupid about this. There's no way. No need to hang out with someone that you rarely talk. That's my point. I'm not fake. If I don't speak to you all year long, I'm not going to try to be nice the one time we see each other. I've had students I went to school with that I've recognized in like after going to school with them at different places. Don't say anything to them. Sometimes I've even had one of them who's like, "Hey, didn't I know you from?" Like, nope, never seen you before. How you doing? These messages are surprisingly normal when talking to women. LOL. That's all I could say about that person. Like, I gave you, and this is my point. I feel as if I can speak clearly. There's no, I don't create any new words. So this is all the English language, and it's all in all of its refinery, right? I don't claim to be some, wonderful, exquisite speaker, but you get my point that it's stated in a clear manner, and I try to take my time when saying it. If you still can't figure out what I'm saying after watching a 30 or 40-minute stream, I can't help you any further. That's my limitation. That's as far as I can go. But again, they actually have convinced themselves that you're gonna like discover something about my psychiatry or whatever by just watching a stream. It's so weird, man. They have to, and again, they're not saying that stuff because I'm saying anything that's so abnormal and so strange, which is why you get more positive responses to it than anything else I do. They're saying that because in their heads they have to convince themselves that there's something wrong with that person, so they don't have to realize the reality of there being a serious issue with going out and talking to dozens of people and getting the same result, and then telling that person, just keep trying. Like a poet, yeah. I think you said like a poet. I have to keep squinting over there. Have you ever thought of you're too bright for most people? I don't like doing that because I think that when you start to see yourself as being better than all the people around you, there's like, because I guess I look at it like this: are there things I know that some of these people don't? Probably, yeah, definitely. Is there stuff these people know I don't? Absolutely. But again, name me two people who know all the exact same things, have the same exact IQ level, and then just can speak and interact perfectly. Guarantee you it doesn't exist. So it's like I said, I feel like I'm really accommodating toward a lot of these people, and you just keep getting sort of, the reverse of that, and then being expected to smile over that. Just like these, it's really weird. What is it? Sometimes keep trying is. I'm trying. What is that? Is a thing. Yeah, it's tiring. Yeah, I agree. I remember one time I just sat here and I thought about, like, I actually did make a Google Doc with like all the different encounters on it, just to like see what the number was. Like, wait a second, if this goes into the 50s or 60s, that's it. I mean, we shouldn't get to a point where there's like literally one or two per every month. Like that's insane. And again, I try to be conservative about that estimate, so I don't put in the ones that are on social media. I'm like, hey, and they say nothing back to, because I don't like to count those, because if we added those, that would easily be in the hundreds. Just like stuff where the person didn't say anything back at all, but we still tried to speak to them. And like I said, man, people tell you get off the internet, go talk to people in real life, and then you talk to people in real life, and they stick you right back online. I've related this before. I went to the mall last year, spoke to this woman who in there by herself, whatever. I asked for a phone number, a phone number, a phone number, one of these. And instead of getting the phone number, I get a Facebook profile, and I send her the message, and then the person's going, "Oh, I'm so busy with school and looking for work, and what was mean? Someone mail me a box of tissues, all that stuff." And then literally, I say, "Hey, so are we gonna like actually do anything? Is this just wasting my time?" "Oh, I have to go to school and work." Okay, so then why the hell did you give me your profile? And then I go on Instagram, and she's posting some whole pictures. So it's like, those are the kind of things where I'm supposed to want that. And I think I told you that I was on I went to this other mall or event place, whatever the hell, and there was a person there who literally, when I went up to him, I said, "Hey, I want to speak to you." They walked right past me. I said to myself, "Wait a second. I'm supposed to be incentivized by people who, if I talk to them, don't even have enough interest to give me a profile that they actually use, or people that just completely act like I don't exist." Let me say hello to Ruben. I hope, Ruben, I'm very sorry. I know you're the only person who's on Patreon. I'm very apologetic you didn't get that much political stuff. Maybe I can give you some candy corn as a consolation prize. I tried to do the one yesterday. I'm very sorry. I'll apologize to him. I'm not going to apologize to none of these old pricks on like random people that comment on the stuff to mess with me. So I'll say sorry to him. Yeah, if he wants some, he can have some of that. I'll mail it to him. I mean, I'm not fake. I'll offer him what I actually have. You just saw it in front of you. I didn't Photoshop this. Isn't CGI. It's right there. I haven't had that in years, man. Yeah, it's one of my favorite candies. I remember this. I was on Twitter one time, and there was this old washed up actor that was it was like candy corn mixed with some other candy. She's like, "Why'd you put two nasty candies?" He's like, "Wow, you're really disgusting." Okay, way to alienate your audience by like going on this weird tirade. It's like, I can see why you went from being in shows to watching shows on your TV all day. Yeah, that was a clear explanation. This guy says, "I kind of lost my sweet tooth when I had what's this? 18, though I ate donuts from time to time." Oh, just seeing a lot of candy makes me want. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they put that stuff out because they know people will buy it. So it all makes sense and adds up and is connected in that manner. I put that picture up there, by the way, to demonstrate like what people online want me to do. Like whenever they write that nasty stuff on those other websites or on here, like, "Oh, let's go down the list. You're gay, which is why you spoke to dozens and dozens of chicks, because apparently that is the true marker of a homosexual right there. You're going to be a shooter, even though, again, like no one ever mentioned any of that stuff, period. And we've talked about gun control. So that it's more stuff that they bring up. All these different things, right? It's like, what do you want me to do? You write it, and what am I, again? I'm not going to curl up in the ball and commit suicide because someone called me a name. Like, am I supposed to get a video? "Oh my God, you said mean stuff about me when?" You should try the new orange vanilla. Yeah, I haven't heard of that before. Wow, maybe I'll pick it up. Okay, and then Envoy loves soda. All these off-topic things. I really do hope the point of this was actually obtained. That you shouldn't I guess this is how I do it. I have about maybe 4 people that I call every day. Um, and most of the time, some of them respond, sometimes they don't. But that's specifically done because those are people I actually care about and want to hear from with that sort of regularity and keep some active interest in what they do. Again, I'm not one of these fake pricks who's gonna show up at your house during one of the holidays and go, "Oh, did you make anything? I hope you've had a good year." It's like, no, you don't. You could have called him during the year. You have his number. You can go in Yellow Pages. Again, they want me to do that. People said mean things about me on the computer. That was the backdrop for that the other video. If anybody remembers, supposed to be so depressed. When and I told him I encourage him if you want to write something stupid, go ahead. It'll be gone forever, just like my patience. It gets yanked into oblivion. I mean, I highly encourage it. Let's see. Sky says, I agree. I only keep with one good friend. Anyone who I talk to just an associate at this point. But that's kind of my thing that I've actually had people who were shocked when I said or didn't want to call them friends. Like, no, why would I call you that? First of all, you don't contact me that often. Secondly, I have to like do all this like weird stuff to even get you to say anything back. Thirdly, we don't even know each other. Like, I kept trying to say if any of this online stuff is serious, meet the person in person. It's not none of it is that difficult. But again, nobody wants to do that because a lot of these online people are fake as hell and they pretend to be something that they're actually not. That's why when I went on all those little different forums where they use my name and I see these people talking about, you're lame or whatever, it's like, so if to be unlame, if I am to one day not be lame, my greatest or one of my key things of making me unlame is to write evil stuff about people who I think are beneath me on random forms that nobody uses. Like that's the life. I mean, we did the stream about the person who I think if you remember who was here for that? I think Envoy was here, and maybe VVS. I don't know if he probably left to go sign some autographs. But we were talking about the individual that got knocked up, and it was by a guy who, between the two of them, they didn't have a dollar in their pocket. Really low income, below the poverty line people. And I was saying, look, man, who the hell is going to trade actually being able to afford where they live for getting with some woman in a terrible economic situation that's going to now destroy the lives of not just both of you, but this third person you're bringing into the world? Who the hell wants that? And I was told that it was mean to say these people are idiots, but realistically think to yourself, if I have to trade what I have for what they have, I'll take mine. Doesn't mean that I don't want the other thing, but again, if it means that, no, thank you. Keep all your little hormones over there. And again, these kind of comments for me don't get. I want you to understand something. These people on these forums wouldn't have been insulted. These people that write stuff to me wouldn't have been insulted. These people that are going to have this bastard child that they're going to destroy the life of for however many years to come wouldn't be insulted if none of them had insulted the way I choose to conduct myself and do my own stuff. Would have never happened. Same thing with the VA stuff. If I had one of those out of those 12 VAs or whatever, half over a dozen I spoke to, if a single one of them had decided to do that role, I wouldn't have done that video on, what was it, Wednesday? Wouldn't have talked about them on Friday. Wouldn't be speaking about them now because I wouldn't have a problem with them. I'd say, okay, well, there's a couple that don't want to do their stuff, but hey, you got some really good ones. No, I can't say that because they all kept doing the same thing. And this isn't, and again, I tried to explain when I critique these different groups, whether it's the chicks I've spoken to or these VAs, I'm fully cognizant, so I don't need anybody writing stupid stuff or this particular talking point, that not everyone who is part of that group is the exact same way. What I am saying is if you encounter people who do the exact same thing, regardless of what you do, right? If you're accommodating, if the person, if they seem to show interest, you get pissed. I mean, you can go watch that video. I have an actor who literally says, "Oh yeah, tell me about your project," and in their exact next response, "Well, I'm gonna be busy for all of next month, but good luck." Like, dingbat, you didn't know you were gonna be busy before this message. Like, you just realized, like, you were writing to me, and then you had an epiphany that you were gonna be so busy. No one thinks that. No one gets like why that is dumb. Like why that there's something wrong with that kind of response after the one that directly preceded it. No one besides me is like what the hell? Isn't that like red herring the textbook definition of that? Same as the chick stuff where you've had people who say, "Hey, I like you," and you go, "It's over. Thank God. The nightmare is concluded. We finally gonna get with someone." And then the next response is, "But I just want to be friends on the computer because I don't want to move out of my mommy's house and actually be married." Again, red herring. They say something and then do the complete opposite. Tricks are for kids. I'm past the point of getting just like I remember I was sitting here yesterday and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to send a single request, invitation message to any more of these voice actors. I'm not going to try to talk to any more of these chicks because in my head, I can't convince myself any further that the stuff with them is going to be any different. And that's because too many of them have done the exact same thing no matter what I do. So I'm going to post a link to both the Proof Romance is a Scam video where you can watch me speak to at least 20 of them. And, sometimes it's longer. Sometimes they say they like you back, but it always ends the same way. And you can also see I actually left a couple out of there, ironically enough. You can also see the one on Wednesday where again, sometimes a little bit longer, always turns out the same. And that'll be a good conclusion for this. I'll go over here and look. Also, I don't know why YouTube won't put a thing where you can just kind of sort of get the link and not have to click the video and put its audio in here. And like this really makes no sense to me. Copy. Oh wow. They had the I thought I was clicking the link and they had me get the title. Oh, there's somebody else that disappeared for a year. What is that? Everybody just decided, hey, I remember that person exists. Told you I don't comment on most of these users because I have no reason. But I remember usernames and various profile pictures and when they showed up and when they disappeared. I frequently recall that. All right, so there's that video. I'm sure the Munich fiend will get a real kick out of that. They'll probably smile and laugh and giggle and maybe feel very encouraged to go out and walk down the street with a top hat. That's his way of handling and doing things and operating business and whatnot. But like I said, in conclusion, I am friends with about maybe 2 people, possibly just 1 at this point. I have a bunch of different relatives and some people I interact with, and the few that I actually care about call all the time, interact with high frequency, or at least once a week, twice a week, whatever. But they see a hell of a lot more of me than people that I show up at the house of for some festivity once a year after being dragged over there. And again, I encourage anyone who actually calls themselves caring about other people, like considering someone your friend, just to speak to them. All this stuff about, oh yeah, I really care about this person, so I need some. Don't buy it. Period. So let me play the outro and then we can head out of here. Click this. Okay, put that up there. All right. So in conclusion, this is the way this is gonna go. I'm gonna make whatever content I want. I'm gonna talk about how stupid a lot of these chicks are and a lot of these voice actors are, because a lot of them are. Again, we have a portion that are not, and I've said before, if you're not one of them, you shouldn't be offended. But if you don't like this kind of content, you can
suck a dick, go fuck yourself, fuck your mama, fuck your daddy, fuck your whole generation, go jump off a bridge, go buy you a ticket, fly to Japan, and lick that old bitch's pussy. If it means that much to you, faggot, shut the fuck up. No one cares.
have a good Saturday.